Our predictions for the 2025 F1 grid. So we're going to dive straight into it then and go in reverse alphabetical order because we're fun like that. We like to be edgy. So we're going to start with Williams. Now, of course, Alexander Albon is already signed, sealed, delivered. He is contracted. But who is taking that second seat? I am going to lock in Carlos Sainz. Now, of course, there is discussion around him going to kick Sauber, or maybe even like Haas, but he's basically not really got a lot of great choices available to him now. Red Bull have obviously said, nah, mate, you're not coming here. Mercedes have pretty much said, no, we're not interested in you either, which is savage. But for Carlos, this is unfortunately the situation he's been presented with. So I think Williams... Obviously, I think Logan's gone. So I think that Carlos Sainz, with James Vowles at the helm, Williams, I think they are building up to something to at least get them to the sort of top of the midfield. And look, it's going to be an engine formula from 2026. They're going to have a Mercedes in the back of that. Maybe Sainz fancies a little bit of that. So yeah, I'm going to lock him in.
So, of course, Alex Albon is staying in my lineup as well. And I've gone for Valtteri Bottas. I can see Bottas going back to Williams. He's an experienced driver. He's won races. He knows James. And I can see, like, Williams need experience now. They need to grow. Alex Albon has committed to Williams and they can build that team around him now. And Bottas is a good, solid choice, I think.
Okay, let's go to Kick Sauber then, where, of course, Nico Hülkenberg has signed from next year. And I am going to lock in for my second driver that Valtteri Bottas is staying. I think that he's beating Zhou quite comprehensively. I know that Zhou has all these little bits of bad luck that people love to highlight to us in driver ratings. But also Bottas, he might be well having the season of his life, finishing 15th in that car, but we don't know. I mean, he's beating his teammate, so maybe Bottas isn't as washed as we all thought, and that car is actually just horrendous. But either or, I think Valtteri could easily stay. And then you've got a lineup of Hülkenberg and Bottas, which is strong. Both of them have had their moments in the sun. Obviously, Hülkenberg not so much, especially on the podium, but maybe that will change. I hope it will change before he retires. But I think that's a strong lineup, so I don't see that it couldn't be a possibility for Sauber.
Unsurprisingly, Kick Sauber, I've gone for Nico Hülkenberg and Carlos Sainz. It's amazing how now the Kick Sauber option has arrived and it's one of the only options that Carlos can get. I'm almost less convinced by it because they're so awful this year. And you've got to think that that's what Sainz is thinking about, that sure, the lure of Audi, and I do think Audi, I don't think they're going to do a Brawn GP. I don't think they're going to do a Mercedes in 2014 where suddenly they're the best team on the grid. But surely if their engine's good and it's an engine formula, you want to have, a works engine in the back of your car. And Audi are going to pump a lot of money into it, surely. And it is basically a case of a punt on Audi being really, really good and just enduring the pain. But what pain it's going to be, because my word, Sauber are even worse than I could have possibly imagined this year.
Next up, Red Bull. Why don't you kick us off, Tommy, with your two drivers?
I have gone for Max Verstappen and...
No way.
No, Sergio
No
Perez.
way. They're not going to bin him off before this.
No, they're not. But it's so funny because I was like, yep, they're locked in. And then maybe it's just the timing we're doing this. People could look back on this in 3 months' time and Perez has completely turned around his form and we're like, what are you even saying? He's got a contract. But if we're here in 3 months' time and he's having the same races he did in Monaco and Canada for the next 3 months, contracts can be broken. We know this. But no, I've gone for what they have said it will be.
I have also locked in Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez. I think that if we're looking towards 2026, then it's a different story if Perez continues this form. But it would just be far too expensive for Red Bull to promised Perez this contract that they've, for some reason, signed very early in the season as of right now. So they're clearly locking him in for 25, and then, that +1 that obviously Christian Horner sort of let slip rather than it being a 2-year deal suggests that they still are looking at the market, but I don't think they'll make changes soon. RB now. Of course, Yuki Tsunoda is signed. Tommy, what are the two that you've gone for?
I have gone for Yuki Tsunoda and Daniel Ricciardo. I know Daniel's had a tough season, but whatever way you look at Formula One, it's sometimes not always about performance. And Daniel Ricciardo, I think, will stay. It sounds like he is going to be one of the favourites. The team still really love him despite his performance, and he's a good benchmark for Yuki Tsunoda. Do I agree that they should do this? No. I think Lawson really does deserve a chance. You can't really do much more than what he did when he was given that opportunity in very difficult circumstances to come in mid-season, and he did everything and more. But I do believe that they're going to stick with them.
For my RB lineup, I have gone for Yuki Tsunoda and Daniel Ricciardo. I am of the same opinion. I think that Red Bull have been very open, especially in the with the communication of Helmut Marko, with how perhaps drivers bring more to the table than just their on-track performances, and I think Daniel Ricciardo is exactly the same. I don't think Red Bull, as much as Liam Lawson did a great job, were blown away by what he did, because otherwise they would make the change. That's, for me, how I see it, but for some reason, I just have it in my head that they're not willing to take that risk with Tsunoda and Lawson in a lineup, but instead would rather have Ricciardo, and rather than a Tsunoda and Lawson, which I think could bubble over to be one of these, I'm trying to do better than you, I will do anything in my power to do it. Let's go to Mercedes then. Of course, George Russell has signed, and alongside him, Kimi Antonelli. I'm mainly going for this because Toto Wolff has openly said that they're focusing on Antonelli, basically. And he's not in a car at the moment that's really stealing headlines in Formula 2. They've been struggling, if anything. He's not been out there winning every race or really sort of continuing that hyper momentum. If anything, I think it's died down a lot from what, Antonelli in F2, all these reports of, Antonelli drove Catalonia and was 2.5 seconds quicker than everybody else. All of that's kind of died down, but I still think that Toto is fully tunnel visioning to Antonelli. And look, it'll be a very exciting lineup to see. And it looks as if that's the way they're going at the moment.
So I've also gone for George Russell and Kimi Antonelli. I do agree the hype has died down massively. He's not kind of hit the ground running like George Russell or Charles Leclerc did when in that series, but they know when a driver is that good and that there's something there that they see. And you can argue that some drivers have come in and maybe not set the world alight. And then also, let's look at what Max Verstappen did. They took a risk. A lot of people said he was too young, couldn't do it. It's a lot of pressure to basically even say that he could be the next Max Verstappen, but that is what Mercedes clearly see in him.
What about McLaren? So I'm going for Norris and Piastri. I think that they're a great driver lineup. McLaren have hit the nail on the head with these two. They are willing to work together. I don't think Piastri has got any sort of ego compared to other drivers on the grid. He's happy to be driving for McLaren. Of course, maybe if he gets on par with Norris in race trim all the time, then perhaps that will change. But for now, it's a beautiful lineup, and they don't want to touch that.
Indeed. I've gone for the same. McLaren have hit the jackpot with these two. They work well together. They're both incredibly quick. There doesn't seem to be any sort of animosity at the moment. Whether there will be if they deliver a championship-winning car. We saw what happened with, like Rosberg and Hamilton, for example. But no, this is such a good driver lineup, and they will definitely stick with it. I could see these two staying at McLaren for years, personally.
Let's go to Haas then, Tommy. Who have you got?
At Haas, I have gone for a whole new lineup of Ollie Behrman and Esteban Ocon. I was umming and ahhing about the fact that Magnussen might stay because he's been a very good teammate and the team do really like him, despite him being a bit chaotic. But I have gone that Ocon will replace him. I think that would be a very strong lineup for Haas to move forward, and quite an exciting lineup because it's something like a complete refresh, new era. They've got a new team principal. They're looking surprisingly good to what we all expected. And Behrman obviously did a great job in Saudi and looks like he'll get promoted.
I am going to lock in Oliver Behrman and Esteban Ocon. I think that Behrman and Ocon would be a powerful lineup, a really good one. Like, Ollie Behrman is highly regarded. He's got a lot of potential. Obviously, with Ocon and any teammate, it can get a little bit spicy. So whether we'll see the non-polite and, oh, hi, my name's Ollie Behrman, nice to meet you all, and it'll bring out, the dog, then potentially. Ferrari! Tommy, who are you going for?
I've gone for Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton. I know it's been months and months, and we've still got months and months to wait before it happens, but I don't want to wish away the season because it's been really good, but boy, am I looking forward to seeing Hamilton at Ferrari. Still doesn't feel real until I see him in those red overalls in the first race of the season.
Yes, I surprisingly have gone for Hamilton and Leclerc as well. It is the strongest lineup on the grid, and it is such an exciting time to be a Ferrari fan, and I cannot wait. I'm exactly the same as you, Tommy. Look, we've got quite an interesting 2024 season, but 2025 I think is going to be even more exciting, so I cannot wait for that. Aston Martin. My two drivers are of course Fernando Alonso, and this might all surprise you, but my second driver is Lawrence Stroll. Yes, that's correct. So Lawrence is going to kick his son out and be like, look, let me have a go, and actually he's going to be pretty decent and be on par with Fernando. Of course, Lance Stroll is actually, for those that don't detect sarcasm, is going to be the second driver on the grid for Aston Martin, and it is a non-change.
I have gone for Fernando Alonso and Chloe Stroll. No, I've gone for Lance Stroll, of course. Stroll, staying on. It'll be very interesting to see how that does develop, though, with the likes of Honda coming in and being that works team. Whether Alonso does decide to stay on forever, or if they try and get like a Yuki Tsunoda in or something like that. Could be fascinating. But for now, as normal, no surprise.
And finally, Alpine. My two drivers for the 2025 grid are Pierre Gasly and Liam Lawson. I think that with Alpine, they will see an opportunity to try and save a little bit of face, because there's been a lot of fires going on in Alpine recently, and they need to sign someone exciting to get them back on track. And I know it is him leaving the Red Bull program, but I think he'll feel reasonably disrespected by the fact that he hasn't been given that opportunity, despite coming in last minute and showing that he has got a lot of potential. I think that's an exciting signing if Alpine can decide or persuade Liam Lawson that it isn't all just fires.
So for Alpine, and I'm between two drivers, and I'm going to make the decision on the spot as I say it. Pierre Gasly and Zhou Guanyu. I know. I cannot believe it's between, in my head, and I really do genuinely believe this, it's between Zhou and Doohan. And I think Zhou, money talks, there's a lot more to it, like we've said through many of these drivers, a lot more to it than just who's the best driver. And boy, has Zhou not delivered for absolutely ages now. Yet all these musical chairs and the kind of crazy silly season, I just keep getting to Alpine and I'm just like, I don't know. No, I really thought I was so not so convinced, but I was like, Yuki's perfect. That would be such a good lineup if they wanted to go something a bit left field. But now he's signed on. It is a case of like, who do they go for? Mick Schumacher? Probably not. Doohan's next in line. Doohan could get it just from the fact that he is a proper the right place at the right time with a junior category. I'm like 51% Zhou, 49% Doohan personally.
Wow, and 0% Mick. So the thing I would say is, it would be, for me, Alpine would think, look, Zhou is performing very badly. Why would we sign him? Of course, you say about the money things, which perhaps if that is what they need, then that'll boost his chances. Doohan, I don't know. I can't see it happening. I genuinely can't. I think that he's just kind of there as a placeholder, which is sad to say because he is Really nice guy, and clearly, great PR trained and all that sort of stuff. And he's always here, there, and everywhere. But for me, I think it would be Lawson, Schumacher, Doohan, and then Zhou. For me, I don't see it with Zhou or Doohan. In a nutshell, we have no idea. But let us know what your 2025 predictions are in the comments if you're on YouTube or on social media. And that is it. We are done. Next up will be the Spanish Grand Prix predictions. Tommy, what are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts are that I think you could ask me until the very last second. I still will have no idea who's going to Alpine. I want to see some rogue choices for Alpine.
Okay.
And they'll just spin a wheel in the factory and just go. What if they did a driver rotation program where one driver gets a seat, one
I think
race?
they'd have to have a list of people that actually would want to drive for Alpine first if they were going to do that.
Savage.
Right, that is it. See you very soon. Lots of love and goodbye.
Bye.